Chapter 13. Once I told Zelda a story that made her cry, so I lay on a sack with her for hours and hours until she fell asleep. Then I started writing down the African story for the Nazi officer until I fell asleep too. Now Barney is shaking me. "Felix," he whispers, "we've run out of water. I need you to help me find some." I sit up and put my notebook inside my shirt. I reach for my shoes and the rags to pack around my feet. "Try these," says Barney. He hands me a pair of boots. I stare at them in the candlelight. They're almost new. I've never had an almost new pair of boots before. When I was little, Mum and Dad used to get me shoes from other families with bigger kids who liked reading. I put the boots on. They fit. "Thanks," I say. "Where did you get them?" I can see Barney doesn't want to tell me. I remember something he once said. "You don't have to make anything up," I add. Barney smiles. "I bought them," he says. 3 turnips. I stare at him, horrified. 3 turnips is a fortune. We could have made soup for all of us with 3 turnips. "Water hunters need good shoes for running," says Barney, "in case the water tries to get out." I look down at Barney's shoes. They're both split open and wound round with rope. Barney sees me looking. "All right," he says quietly, "I'll tell you the truth. I got you the boots because everybody deserves to have something good in their life at least once." I don't know what to say. That's one of the kindest things I've ever heard, including in stories. "Thanks," I whisper, but I'm confused. Surely Barney knows I've got lots of other good things in my life, more than anyone else in the cellar, probably. Barney locks the trapdoor and I follow him through the dark printing factory, an empty bucket in each hand, my feet snug and grateful in my new boots. As we get close to the big rusty door, Barney suddenly blows out the candle and puts his fingers on my lips. I can hear it too. Voices and footsteps out in the street. It's after curfew time. Everybody's meant to be indoors. We creep over to a window. Barney rubs a small patch on the dusty glass and we peep out. The street is crowded with people all trudging in the moonlight, all in the same direction. Jewish people, I can tell by the armbands on their coats. Some are carrying bags and bundles. They're so close I can hear their voices, even through the glass. "Yes, but where?" says a woman wearing a scarf. A man with his arm round her rolls his eyes. He looks like he's done it before, so he's probably her husband. "I don't know exactly," he says. "The countryside? Does it matter where? For each day's work we get a loaf of bread and a sausage and marmalade. That's all that matters." The husband and wife are too far away now and I can't hear them anymore because the voices are mixed up with all the others. A man with a loud voice is passing the window. "Please," he's saying, "which is it? Russia? Romania? Hungary? You must know where we're going." I shrink back. The person he's talking to is a Nazi soldier. "Countryside," says the soldier. "Beautiful, much food, easy work." I look at Barney to see if he's thinking what I'm thinking. The Nazis are taking the Jewish people to the countryside to work. Farming perhaps, or looking after sheep. Anything to get their minds off books probably. "That means Mum and Dad will be going there." "Barney," I whisper, "can we go too?" Zelda and Henrik and all of us. Barney looks as though this is the worst idea anybody has ever had in the history of the world. "No," he says. "But it could be great," I say. "A farmer could let us live in his barn. And we could make cheese and sell it." Barney isn't even listening, just peering out the window. The street outside is empty now. I can hear the last of the Jewish people and the Nazi soldiers fading into the distance. "Come on," says Barney, unchaining the big door. "We've got water to find. Let's go." In the cool night air, my thoughts are clear. I don't say anything more about the countryside. I know what I'm going to do. Once me and Barney have found some water and got it back to the cellar, I'm going to finish writing my African story and give it to the Nazi officer and ask him which bit of the countryside Mum and Dad have been taken to. Then I'm going to wake Zelda up and we'll go there on our own. I don't believe it. Barney just walked into an apartment without knocking. He just looked around the stairwell to make sure nobody was watching, pushed the door open and barged in. Luckily, the stairwell was deserted. Is this your apartment? I asked him. No, he says. He's saying that a lot tonight. He stops in the hallway. His shoulders slump. I see what's caught his eye. On the floor is a Jewish candlestick, the type that holds a row of candles. It's completely squashed, and if somebody stamped on it, this place belongs to a friend of mine, says Barney quietly. I understand. You must have gone to work in the countryside and forgotten to lock up. I follow Barney into a room. It's an unusual sort of room. I need a moment to take it all in. A big leather chair, 2 sinks, the robot arm drill. Now I understand. It's a dentist's surgery. See if the water's on, says Barney. I don't waste time. I take my buckets over to one of the sinks and turn the tap. Nothing. It's off, I say. Barney's rummaging in cupboards and stuffing things into his pockets. Metal syringes, packets of needles, small bottles filled with liquid. That's not water, is it? I say, puzzled. Barney looks at me, and I get the feeling he wishes I hadn't seen what he's doing. It's a drug, he says. Dentists use it to stop their patients feeling pain. I know, I say. My mum had it once. Barney comes over and crouches down so his face is level with mine. I don't want you or any of the others to touch this, he says, holding up one of the little bottles. It's very dangerous. Only dentists should touch it. Why is it dangerous, I ask. If a person takes too much, says Barney, they go into a very deep sleep and never wake up. Something about the way he's saying it makes me shiver. But at least his patients will have something else to dull their pain when I'm in the countryside with Mum and Dad and Zelda and can't tell them stories. I remember why we're here. I'll look in the other rooms for water, I say. There's a bathroom down the hall, says Barney. We go into the bathroom and straight away I can see we're in luck. The bath is full of water. I scoop some out with one of my buckets. Hang on, says Barney, taking the bucket from me and tipping the water back. Somebody's had a bath in that. It's dirty. Better not risk it. I stare at the water, confused. That's not dirty. It's just a bit soapy with a few hairs in it. One person's been in that, 2 tops. If Barney wants to see dirty water, he should go into an orphanage on bath night. There's not even grit in this as far as I can see. See if there's any food in the kitchen, says Barney. I'll fill the buckets from this. He's lifting the lid of the toilet tank, which I have to admit is a good idea. 2 buckets of clean water at least. I go down the hall to the kitchen, wondering why they're cooking utensils on the hall floor. In the kitchen, things are even worse. The floor is covered with broken plates and bits of cooked food. I crouch down, wondering if Barney is going to be fussy about the food that's been on the floor. Then I realise there's someone else in the room. Oh, it's a little kid, about 2, in a high chair. I can't tell if it's a girl or a boy because there's too much blood on the little body. Oh, I scream for Barney. He comes running in and he almost falls over himself when he sees the poor horrible sight, but then he grabs me and drags me out into the hall. He's a little kid, I sob. They shouldn't shoot little kids. Shh, says Barney. He sounds like he's sobbing too. He pushes my face into his coat. Why didn't the parents do something, I sob? Why didn't they take their kid to the countryside? Barney is shaking. He hugs me very hard. Sometimes, he says, his voice still shaking as well, parents can't protect their kids even though they love them more than anything in the world. Sometimes, even when they try their very hardest, they can't save them. I can feel Barney's tears falling onto me. For the while, he doesn't say anything, just strokes my head. I stroke his hand. Something tells me he needs it too. Your mum and dad loved you, Felix, says Barney. They did everything they could to protect you. Loved? Why is he saying that as if it's in the past? I'm going to find them, I say. I'm going to live in the countryside with them. I feel Barney give a big, painful sigh. There is no countryside, he says quietly. The Nazis aren't taking anyone to the countryside. They're taking the Jews away to kill them. I stare up at him. What? That's the stupidest story I've ever heard. Didn't you hear what the Nazi soldier said to those Jewish people outside the window? I kick and struggle to get myself out of his grip so I can go and find Mum and Dad before the Nazis take them to the countryside. But Barney is holding on to me tight, too tight. His arms are too strong. I can't get away. It's true, Felix, he said. His voice sounds like he's at a funeral. How do you know? I yell at him. Somebody escaped from one of the death camps, he says. This man came to the ghetto to try and warn the rest of us. My head is hurting. Death camps? You're making this up, I yell at Barney. If it's true, you would have warned the people leaving tonight. I feel his chest heaving for a long time before he answers. They wouldn't have believed me, he said. They didn't believe the man from the death camp. Not even after the Nazis killed him, and I need to be alive so I can take care of you and the others. It's on Barney's face. I can see it. He's telling the truth. Oh, Mum. Oh, Dad. My imagination goes into a frenzy, trying to think up of ways for them to escape, places for them to hide, reasons why none of this has happened to them. Every time I start to think of something, I remember the poor little kid in the kitchen. Barney is still holding me tight and I can feel the metal syringes in his coat pocket pressing against my cheek. Suddenly, I want him to stick one of those syringes into me so I can go into a deep sleep and never wake up and never feel this bad ever again. Chapter 14. Once I loved stories, and now I hate them. I hate stories about God and Jesus and Mary and that crowd and how they're meant to be taking care of us. I hate stories about the beautiful countryside with much food and easy work. I hate stories about parents who'll say they'll come back for their children and never do. I roll over on my bed. I push my face into my sack so I can't hear Barney over the other side of the cellar reading some stupid story to the others. I never want to hear another story. I never want to write another story. I never want to read another book. What good have books ever done me and Mum and Dad? We'd have been better off with guns. Felix, says a faint voice in my ear. It's Zelda. I ignore her. Are your parents dead too, she asks. I don't answer. I feel her put something round my neck. It's a silver chain with the little heart on it. This is to make you feel better, she says. I don't want to feel better. I don't want to feel anything. I just want to be like the Nazi officer, the murderer one, cold and hard and bored with people. Zelda strokes my head. I try to ignore that too, but I can't. There's something wrong. Her hand is hot, very hot. I sit up and look at her. Her face is pale, but when I touch her cheek, her skin is burning. I've got a temperature, she whispers. Don't you know anything? Then her eyes go funny and she flops down onto the floor. Barney, quick, I yell, my voice squeaky with panic. Zelda's sick. I don't like you going out alone, says Barney. I can see he doesn't. I've never seen him look so worried. All day, while we took turns wiping Zelda's hot skin with wet rags, Barney was telling us she was going to be all right. But ever since the other kids got exhausted and went to bed, he's been looking more and more worried. Jaya can't run with a bad arm, he says. Jacob and Ruth and Mosh get too scared outside and the others are too young. I'll be all right on my own, I say. I can't leave Zelda like this, says Barney, dipping the rag into the bucket of water and pressing it gently against her face. But she needs aspirin. But if we can't get her temperature down in the next few hours... He stops because Zelda's eyes flutter open. I'm hot, she croaks. I lift her cup to her white lips and she swallows a little. There'll be aspirin in the dental surgery where we were last night, says Barney. I don't say anything. I try not to think of what's in the kitchen of that apartment. But if you don't want to go back there, Barney says, you'll find empty apartments in most of the buildings, and you'll almost certainly find aspirin in one of them. In a bathroom or a kitchen or a bedside drawer. I nod. I know about aspirin. Mother Minka used to get headaches from praying too much. Are you sure you can do this? Asks Barney. Yes, I say. I know what Barney was going to say before Zelda opened her eyes. If we can't get her temperature down in the next few hours, she'll die. I must find her some aspirin, and there's something else I must bring back for her as well. I slip quietly out of our building without anybody seeing me. The ghetto streets are different tonight. They're just as dark and scary and full of litter as always, but not so deserted. Nazi trucks are zooming around. German soldiers are running in and out of apartment blocks. In the distance, I can hear a shooting. I creep into an empty apartment. No aspirin. I try next door. Yes, a whole jar. But I haven't finished yet. There's something else I need to find. All the apartments in this block seem to be empty. I can hear Nazis down the street, but I haven't seen a single Jewish person. I creep down yet another apartment hallway, holding the candle out in front of me so I don't trip over any of the toys or ornaments or smashed photos on the floor. More gunshots in the distance. This will have to be the last apartment. If I don't find it here, I'll have to give up. I close my eyes as I step into the kitchen. I open them slowly. After last night, I won't ever be able to go into a kitchen with my eyes open again. This one's all right, except for a big dark stain on the floor that could be just gravy. I ignore it and start opening cupboards. Nothing in the top ones. I bend down and start opening the bottom ones. Zelda's locket chain keeps getting caught on the cupboard doors. I toss it over my shoulder so it hangs down my back. 2 cupboards left. Please, God, Jesus, Mary and the Pope, if you're still on our side, please let this be the one. Yes! There, lying next to a mouldy potato, something that will help Zelda just as much as the aspirin. A carrot. I know I should get out of this apartment as fast as I can. I know I should sprint down the stairs into the street and hurry along the darkest back alleys to the cellar so Zelda can have her aspirin and her carrot soup. But I can't just yet. Not now I've seen this bedroom. It's exactly like the room I used to have at home. The wallpaper is the same. The reading lamp is the same. The bookshelves are the same. The one thing that's different is that there are 6 beds crammed in here. These kids have even got some of the same books. I clamber over the beds and squeeze onto the floor and take a book from the shelf. Just William by Richmal Crompton. It's still one of my favourite books in the whole world and probably one of Dodie's by now. As I open it, I try not to remember Mum and Dad reading it to me. Instead, I just read a bit to myself about William's dog. He's called Jumble and is a mixture of about 100 different dogs, and William loves him even when he pees in William's new boots. Mum and Dad said I can have a dog like Jumble one day. Stop it. Stop thinking about them. William is training Jumble to be a pirate. That's what I love about William. He always stays hopeful, and no matter how bad things get, no matter how much this world turns upside down, his mum and dad never die. Not ever. I know I should be getting back, but I can't get up at the moment. All I can do is stay here on the floor with just William and Zelda's carrot, thinking about Mum and Dad and crying. What's that noise? It's dark. The candle must have burnt down. Oh no, I must have fallen asleep here on the floor. The noise again, thumping, a dog growling. Jumble? No, there's somebody in the apartment. Keep losing my spot. Several people, boots thumping, torches flashing, men shouting in another language. Nazi soldiers. Where can I hide? Under the beds? No, every story I've ever read where somebody hides under the bed, they get caught. I know, under the books. I lie next to the bookcase and tilt it forward so all the books slide off the shelves and onto me. With one hand, I arrange the books over all the bits of me that feel uncovered. It's not easy in the dark. I pray to Rich Malcrompton that I haven't missed any bits. Then I slide my hand under the pile and stay very still. Bang! The bedroom door is kicked open. Torchlight stab between the books. I hold my breath. I can hear someone else breathing, then footsteps leaving the room. I wait. More banging and shouting in other rooms, dogs barking, getting farther away. I think they've gone. I wait more. I can't hear them at all. I scramble out from under the books. I strike a match and find just William for Zelda and the others. Then I run down the hall, out into the stairwell, down the stairs, skidding on the clothes and shoes that have been chucked around everywhere, jumping over the cooking pots and the musical instruments. Oh no, I've tripped. I'm falling. Ow! Quick, get up. I don't think I'm hurt. I've got my glasses. The carrot and the aspirin are safe in my pocket. Just William is still in my hand. That wasn't as bad as it could have been, except for the torchlight that's suddenly dazzling me from the doorway of one of the ground floor apartments. It's a Nazi soldier. He's yelling at me. He's got a pile of clothes and stuff in a box clutched to his chest. He's aiming his torch at me and coming closer. I put my hands up and show him I'm not armed. The soldier tucks his torch under his chin. Why does he need a spare hand? For his gun? No, to grab just William from me. He stares at me, frowning. He puts it in his box. Now he's staring at something else on my chest. Zelda's locket, which is smashed and hanging off the chain in two halves. He peers at it, breathing smelly drink fumes out of his hairy nostrils. Then he lets go of it and turns and sticks his head back into the apartment, starts yelling. I think he's calling to someone. A William fan, maybe. I don't wait to find out. The gate to the back alley is open. I fling myself through it and run down the alley and into the next one, weaving from alley to alley, not stopping, going from the narrowest... Lost my spot again. The gate to the back alley is open. I fling myself through it and run down the alley and into the next one, weaving from alley to alley, not stopping, going from the narrowest ones I can find, the ones not wide enough for a tank to squeeze down, or a troop carrier, or a Nazi soldier loaded up with stuff he's been looting. I only stop when I suddenly find myself in a wide street, bright with moonlight, empty and silent. I crouch down next to a wall, gasping for breath, and have to look at Zelda's locket to see what the soldier found so interesting. One half of the locket is empty. In the other half is a tiny photograph, a man and a woman standing in front of a Polish flag. Zelda's parents, they must be, her poor dead parents. The woman has hair a bit like Zelda's, only shorter, and a face a bit like Zelda's, only older. I rub some Nazi finger grease off the photo and see Zelda's father more clearly, and the clothes he's wearing. I almost stop breathing, even though I'm still desperate for air. Zelda's father is wearing a uniform, a Nazi uniform. Thank you, God, Jesus, Mary, the Pope, and Rich Malcrompton. I thought I was never going to find my way back, but I know where I am now. This is the street next to where our cellar is. If I can get past that corner without any Nazi patrols coming along, I'll be in our cellar in no time, and Zelda can have her carrot soup and aspirin. I know what you're thinking, God and Rich Mal and all the others. If Zelda's dad's a Nazi, does she deserve carrot soup and aspirin? Yes. She can't help what her father did. Plus, he's dead now, And so's her mum, and I don't know if she's got any other living relatives, but after what we've been through together, that makes me one. I say yes. Oh no, I can hear trucks and soldiers shouting and dogs barking. Where are they? I look around desperately. They're not in this street. I crouch by the building on the corner and peer into our street. Oh, the trucks are parked in front of our building. Oh, Nazi soldiers are aiming guns at the printing factory doorway. Dogs are straining on leads and snarling. Not dogs like Jumble. There are dogs with one type of dog. These are all dogs with only one type of dog in them. Killers. Somebody must have tipped the Nazis off. A disgruntled dental patient, probably. How can I warn Barney and the others? How can I get in there without being seen and help Barney find a secret way out that the Nazis don't know about and get the kids out in disguise if necessary? And too late. I can hear other soldiers shouting and other dogs barking inside the printing factory. I can hear kids screaming. It doesn't matter anymore who sees me. I run towards the cellar.